to begin with, no, I don't prepare what I'm going to say. Whatever is said is just an expression of dynamic benefit, of complete responsiveness to whatever is occurring right here. So there isn't any need to memorize, study, learn, make an outline, get nervous, wonder what everyone's going to think, wonder if it'll be liked, wondering whether it won't be liked. None of that's going on. But when I describe all those things, they're really familiar to all of us, because this is what we learn. We learn that in order to be smart and in order to speak well, then we have to study, and we have to learn a lot of things from outside ourselves and get them inside ourselves in order to be smart enough to think and speak. So you see, all of this activity is associated with the point of view and the concern and the belief system and assumption that there is a personal identity who can be doing all these things. So, you know, the personal identity, it is just a conventional belief. That's all it is. The idea that someone exists in here is a conventional belief. It's an assumption. But when it's looked into, that assumption can't be really shown to exist. It cannot be found to exist in its own right. So we cannot find a personal identity anywhere that exists in its own right. And that is a huge relief. It's really a huge relief, because when we no longer have this hungry dog of personal identity to feed, then we can just relax. We can just really feel total relief, because everything we already need is already present. So the thoughts we need to be thinking and the wisdom we need to have, what we need to know, the ability to speak about it, all of these things are already present. And so, you know, what is it that states that we are somebody? And one of the things we could call that is the old mind. And how can we get familiar with the new mind? In other words, this new mind that's already present within us that doesn't need any props in order to identify itself. Well, first of all, we can look at the old mind, or the idea of having a personal identity, in a humorous way. So does everyone know what a pacifier is that a baby sucks on? It's that little thing. It looks like a plug, and it goes in the baby's mouth when they're crying, and then they suck on it and they feel better. So it's supposed to be kind of like sucking on the mother's breast or another nipple or something like that. And so when the baby sucks on this, our description of what's occurring, because of course from when we think of ourselves as a personal identity, we see everything within cause and effect. So we say, well, the baby's calming down because this is like a nipple. And so the personal identity is really like persisting and sucking on a pacifier. So at this point in human history, for people to continue to take themselves to have a personal identity, when it is so blatantly obvious, when looked at from any field of study, that there really is not a personal identity that can be found, is just persisting in a superstitious belief, really persisting in a primitive belief. And as this that we are, that has never been found to have a personal identity, is already present, we do not need any conditions or special circumstances in order to get familiar with that. In other words, we don't have to do anything special. Whatever is going on in our life right now is the perfect ground for the realization of our true being. Who we really are is the all-encompassing vast expanse of awareness, the pure view of awareness that includes all points of view. All the points of view of awareness are its dynamic energy and nothing else. So this dynamic energy of awareness, all the points of view within the pure view, have never been anything other than the pure view. They've never been anything other than primordially pure. And they're inseparable from awareness, like the color blue is inseparable from the sky, or like sunlight filling space is inseparable from space. There's no way to separate out those things, and such is the case with all of the points of view. The dynamic energy of awareness that occurs within the vast expanse of awareness. Now, we don't need to complicate who we are at all. That's it right there. The moment we start adding anything else in, then we get lost completely, maybe for a day, maybe for a week, maybe for a month, months, years, or even a lifetime. So if we complicate who we are unnecessarily, it's easy to get very lost. Now, when we just let that ease of being, that awareness that is at the root of everything, be as it is, without persisting in the need to describe everything that appears and attribute causes and conditions to it and attribute beliefs of time and location to it, then more and more we gain familiarity with what we are. We set aside the pacifier and we say, okay, I'm not going to suck on my personal identity anymore. I don't need this any longer. I'm more interested in the true nature of my being. So, at this time in human history, it's very important for us as human beings to make this shift and to simplify the instructions about it in a way that any human being can understand. Gone are the days where we need to cling to traditional beliefs or conventional beliefs of any kind.